So what does Kamala Harris actually stand for? We've spoken a lot on this show in the past about how politicians from the Greens or Labor or the Democrats in the US or the Liberals in Canada always resort to the cheapest, dumbest play of all to win votes in elections. Something even worse than just calling everybody racist deplorables. Playing on the fact that most ordinary people don't have time to think about economics or didn't get taught economics at school. And so most people don't understand how the economy works, where money comes from, or how prices are set in a free market, liberal, democratic country. Most good citizens are too busy trying to do what they do best in their line of work. And we assume that other good people are doing the same in the government bureaucracy and politics. Except they aren't. Bad actors, mostly on the left of politics, are constantly exploiting those gaps that we all have in our knowledge, and they're taking advantage of us. The main way that parties like the Greens, the Teals, Labor and the Democrats take us for mugs is by trying to sell us the lie that the economy can be simply controlled by government laws. That if they say, we shall have price controls on these things, that will automatically fix inflation. But it doesn't. We should all get taught this in school, but I think I was about 35 at least before I fully understood it, and I'm not the sharpest knife I know, but I'm not the bluntest one either. It's kind of weird that we don't get taught this at school, kind of like it's almost deliberate. But prices are set by the free market. They are not set by the government. How? Well, basically it works like this. People will only make stuff or do stuff for as long as someone will pay them to make or do it. Now, the minute it becomes too expensive and not worth it, they'll stop. So that's how our whole system works in the free world. That's what economists talk about when they use the terms supply and demand. If people want stuff, the price goes up, and that'll encourage other people to make that stuff until too many people are making that stuff, or too much of that stuff is being made, and the price goes down, or until people no longer want it and the price goes down. Everything balances into what economists call the fair market price, or price equilibrium. This makes for a very efficient economy. It is an amazing system, and it all happens absolutely naturally. No politicians needed. It works so well that even communist countries have had to accept the fact of reality and allow free markets to a certain extent. Because if they don't, they just go broke out of inefficiency. So the lefty pollies, though, don't want you to know that you don't need them, or that things would work much better if we had about 90% less government than we do, because they want control for themselves, not good governance for you. And even in 2024, people still fall for the old trick. They think that politicians who say stuff like this are being nice, when actually they're being about as manipulative and evil as you can possibly get.
I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
Now, we know that Kamala isn't a business person like Trump, and she isn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but it's price gouging, Kamala, not price gauging. God help us. She's also going to do rent control, by the way, as controlling the price on food, and she's going to build new homes. Does that sound familiar?
By the end of my first term, we will end America's housing shortage by building 3 million new homes and rentals that are affordable for the middle class. In addition, while we work on the housing shortage, my administration will provide first-time home buyers with $25,000 to help with the down payment on a new home.
So it sounds fantastic, and it will work to help her get elected. These people waving those placards there, they don't know their economics. Or maybe they do know their economics, but they know their evil politics better. But it won't work after she's president. It will be a disaster, as Fox News host Jesse Waters explained to his audience.
But now she wants to pick the price of bacon? Kamala knows what a head of lettuce should cost, even though she hasn't been in a grocery store in 4 years. The princess just waves her magic wand and poof, a loaf of bread's $2.50. Why didn't anyone else think of that? Well, a lot of people did. And it's been a disaster every time. 2,000 years ago, Roman Emperor Diocletian put in a price control, punishable by death. Prices went up, and merchants started selling goods on the black market. The Soviets tried it too. That ended in bread lines. Even President Nixon gave it a shot.
The time has come for decisive action, action that will break the vicious circle of spiraling prices and costs. I am today ordering a freeze on all prices and wages throughout the United States for a period of 90 days.
The result of that was massive shortages and even more inflation. It has to be. It's natural economic law. Trying to legislate against free markets and pricing is like trying to make laws against gravity because you don't like getting out of bed in the morning. But why is it that politicians never learn? Well, they do, but then the desire to hold on to power gets them, and they know that people don't understand basic economics. Argentina spent 75 years going from one of the richest countries in the world to a poverty-riddled mess with hyperinflation under socialism before they recently woke up and elected a free market libertarian to fix everything. Other South American countries have been similarly destroyed by socialism, as we well know, because the people love socialism in the Spanish colonial world. And if you don't go along with socialist ideas, well, you're an evil capitalist bastard, right? Fox News' Jesse Waters explained it brilliantly.
In Venezuela, Hugo Chavez went on a socialist spending spree, which sent food prices skyrocketing. So he had the same idea as Harris and capped food prices. And Venezuela went from one of the richest countries in the world to one of the poorest. Price controls aren't a new idea. They're just a bad one.
It is a device that governments have repeatedly resorted to try to cover up the effects of their own policies. It is offered as a cure for inflation. It is not a cure for inflation. It has never been a cure for inflation. It is an alleged cure that is far worse than the disease.
That's the economist Milton Friedman, probably the most influential economist of the 20th century. The left do not like him. That's fine. But arguing against his ideas, again, it's like arguing against air and water. You can't change the facts just because you don't like them.
But Kamala thinks she can just wave her magic wand and voila, capitalism disappears. This was her campaign's first opportunity to show us her economic vision, and it turns out she's blind as a bat. We all waited a month to hear what Kamala believed in, and she finally told us it's communism.
Exactly. A month of hype and waffle before the American people got any kind of specifics about what her economic policies might be. And as Jesse Waters says, it turns out to be good old dumb 1950s communism.
After Kamala said she was going to choose the price of cheese, Bernie Sanders released a statement calling it a very important step forward, or backward. The princess doesn't understand basic math. She thinks supply and demand means when she demands something, the intern supplies it.
Ouch. But that is spot on. It's just like all of our politicians from major parties who've never run a business or held a job where they're responsible for direct commercial results. Labor's ex-union officials and lawyers, or the Liberals' ex-political staffers and lawyers, they have no clue. And Kamala thinks supply and demand is when she demands something and the intern supplies it. That is brilliant stuff. Waters goes on to remind everyone watching his show that people didn't get to vote for Kamala in the usual primary or caucus process that political parties in America use to choose their candidates. She was just anointed and appointed at lightning speed by the Bidens, the Clintons, and the Obamas without any primaries. So nobody got to hear her policies before she got the top job. And that is terrifying.
Kamala's communism would have come out in a primary. And for those Democrats watching, a primary is when politicians compete with each other and do interviews, take questions from voters, and tell us what they believe in. But why bother with democracy when coronating a mysterious princess makes it easier on the Democrats and much easier for her?
Kamala also announced she's going to magically build 3 million new homes and solve the housing crisis. Where have I heard that before? And she's going to do a $25,000 first home buyers grant. And we all know that that works to fix the housing crisis, don't we?
Do you hear that sound? If you listen closely, that's the sound of every home seller raising their listing price by 25 grand. This just drives home prices up more. Just like electric cars or college tuition, when the government subsidizes, the price goes up and the country goes deeper in debt.
Jesse Waters on Fox News this week. You know, it's not that hard to understand when somebody explains it to you and you've got time to pay attention to it. But the Greens, the Teals, Labor and all the other lefties around the world are counting on the fact that you won't have time to pay attention and understand. And that should tell you all you need to know about how these people operate and how they manipulate us. With all the government crackdown on freedom of speech and digital IDs and marketing companies manipulating your information, you would be crazy not to have a virtual private network on your laptop and phone. In fact, all of your devices. I was once a bit afraid of how these things work, that they might, slow down my internet speed or be too complicated to set up. But private internet access is terrific. And when you buy from them, you're supporting the other side too, because they're one of our sponsors. So to help keep yourself safe from big government and big corporations with a VPN, get onto private internet access. We have done a fantastic deal just for other side viewers. You're going to get 83% off the usual price and 4 months free. That brings it down to just $2.68 a month, a half a cup of coffee. It's amazing. You just got to use the special access code that you can see on your screen right now. That is piavpn.com, piavpn.com/other side, and you'll get that discount if you do that, okay? It's super easy to download, super easy to get running. Literally just takes a few minutes and it's always on. It didn't slow down my internet speed one bit. And a side benefit is that I can now watch Netflix using my Netflix account as if I'm in any country in the world, which opens up the whole global Netflix library to me. And best of all, by using PIA, you're supporting the other side in a very big way and helping us to keep on providing an alternative to the mainstream media focused on Aussie news. piavpn.com/other side. Get on it. If you like that clip, there's more where that came from in our full show, The Other Side. You can watch it right here, the latest episode. And please subscribe to our channel by pressing the subscribe button right here or down here. And remember to click that notification bell too. It all helps. Join us and become part of The Other Side.